Hey guys, welcome to Hoop Sessions coming to you the day after game 2 of the NBA Finals, and the Knicks have done it. They are up 2-0. Josh Hart backed up his words saying that they did not come to San Antonio to just take one game. They came to take both, and they backed up their words today. And usually I'll start this off by breaking down the game maybe a little bit, talking about, what actually happened. But man, I have to talk about some of these numbers because they are sticking out to me and they're like describing what happened, what has happened this postseason, and what happened today more than I can. Jalen Brunson, who was already known as a playoff riser before this postseason, before this run, uh, he averages 25.7 points per game in the playoffs throughout his career. That's higher than Kobe, Will, Kareem, Dirk, Shaq, and Larry Bird. He's putting himself in these uncomfortable discussions. You guys want to know the best 3-point percentage on the road this year in the playoffs? Try number 1, Landry Shamet, 62.9%. Number 2, a 12% drop off. OG Anunoby shooting 50%. And number 3 is Miles McBride shooting 49% from the field, from 3. These guys are ridiculous from the 3-point line, and they have been all season. Talk about Landry Shamet, and Mike Brown shared the story in the post-game interview talking about Shamet. He said as soon as he got hired here, he called Landry Shamet and told him, hey, I want you here. Landry Shamet, who I'm sure you guys have heard by now, was on a non-guaranteed contract at the beginning of the season. The story of this Knicks team just so incredible. Yeah, here I had some other things written down. Players in NBA history with 1,200 three-pointers made and 800 blocks before turning 31. Try LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Karl Anthony Towns now in those discussions. I just don't know if the Spurs have an answer for this next team, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But also want to talk about Mitchell Robinson a little bit because I was really fascinated with the Mitchell Robinson minutes today. When Cat was off the floor, especially when Mitchell checked in for the first time, they were actually hacking him. They were better off because Wemby was off the floor too, right? They felt better off in these non-Wemby minutes to just let Mitchell Robinson, who was shooting 36% from the line this year, the lowest in NBA history, they felt comfortable with just saying, hey, we are more comfortable with sending Mitchell Robinson to the line than letting the Knicks run their half-court offense. I think that says a lot about how great the Knicks have been, how great their shooters have been. It says a little bit about Mitchell Robinson, but he shot 3 for 6 at the line today, and it was cool to see him get his moment. He said after the game, he was like, oh, it means a lot, when I could ruin their strategy, the hack-a-Mitch that they were kind of trying. So, once again, schematically, that was really interesting to look at. Mike Breen, who I think a lot of people know is a Knicks fan, you could just hear the excitement, on the calls this postseason when this game ended and it's over. Like just the way the presentation of these finals, the big logo in the middle, it's been cinema. It's been cinema. This whole San Antonio crowd, the fact that the Knicks have came here and they took 2 in a row in that environment. Once again, Knicks fans did flood the stadium, yeah. But what percentage of that stadium was Knicks fans? Not many. That stadium was hostile. And now you're down 2-0. They're heading to New York, which is probably the most hostile environment in sports. MSG gets crazy, and these guys haven't seen the finals in 27 years? What is that environment going to be like? And I don't know if I believe in the Spurs team to go and take 2 games on the road. Uh, Something interesting that I talked about is Mikal Bridges, who I think many people forgot was on that 2021 Suns team, who had lost the first 2 games, who won the first 2 games in the finals. So he's been up 2-0 in the finals before and blew it. But the difference is this time they took both games on the road. So I don't know what happens, man. I mean, I did pick the Spurs to win the series. Uh, I don't know if they're still my pick. I, that's a weird answer to have, but I just don't know at this point. Like, this postseason has really taught me, hey, expect the unexpected. And there's been so much unexpected things to happen this postseason. Uh, we talk about the Finals MVP discussion too. If the Knicks win, because Jalen Brunson was just not efficient in Game 1, and he wasn't efficient tonight. Uh, he's shooting 34% for the series, which once again I don't think means he's having a bad series when you look at things overall. I mean, he has to take a lot of shots, right? If Brunson loses his confidence after missing a couple early in these games, they don't win Game 1. They don't get that, fadeaway shot that Brunson had in Game 1, which he kind of replicated that shot today. We don't get that if Brunson loses confidence. And just great respect for Brunson, just to not be thinking about the stat sheet, to not lose confidence, to continue his confidence in taking these shots. I loved it from Jalen Brunson, and it brings up this Finals MVP discussion. It's like, hey, Cat's having the better numbers. He's probably been better on the floor. If they win this series, who's to say Cat doesn't get Finals MVP? And I think it's a real interesting discussion because even though the numbers look better, I still think like Jalen Brunson plays a leadership role for this team. That's like really hard to define. Like he really is this team's leader. So when this series is said and done, if the Knicks win, that Finals MVP discussion is going to be really interesting, and I think both players are going to have a great case. Another number I wanted to bring up here is, which this one I think was the most shocking number that I've found. That 2018 draft class, the one that's might go down as the greatest draft class in NBA history. Now you think about the fact that you got Brunson, Shea, and Luka all in that class. Yeah, you want to know who leads that class in playoff wins? Jalen Brunson with 49, Landry Shamet with 48, and Mikal Bridges with 45. I can't believe it. And I don't have the exact number pulled up, but it's like the amount of players on this Knicks team that they have drafted is like very low. The majority of this roster has been, traded for or signed in free agency. It's like insane. Like this team, it still feels like homegrown, right? Because they took risky investments on these players. The Jalen Brunson contract was really risky. The Karl-Anthony Towns trade was really risky, and it's paid off for them. They're 2 games away from winning the NBA championship potentially. Really the biggest deciding factor in this game, once again, like always, surprise, it was Victor Wembanyama, who was a lot better in that second half than the first half, especially from a scoring perspective. Defensively today, he didn't have like a real assignment. It was just whoever was on the corner just so he can roam, right? Just because they needed Wemby in the paint at all times. It seemed like they were more comfortable with the open Knicks 3 if that meant Wemby, had to dip into the paint because he can get back to that corner really quick. But once again, once Wemby is used as a roamer, that means he's not going to be guarding Cat all the time. And like we saw today, the smaller guys can't guard Cat. They weren't able to guard Cat the whole game, especially when they would like throw Castle on Cat. It just didn't work. There was a play, and I'm pretty sure this one was while Wemby was off the floor. If I'm remembering correctly, it was a play. There were like 4 San Antonio defenders, and Cat just grabs this like really physical board over them and just dips it out to the corner for a three. I mean, he was playing through contact today. They were playing really physical with Brunson as well. They were full court pressing Brunson in the first quarter, and it got to the point where they were talking about the Spurs were talking about letting anybody but Brunson beat them, right? And it seemed like that was their mindset in the first quarter, but it seemed like, later on things kind of shifted and they put less of an emphasis on just guarding Brunson, especially when Shamit and everybody started hitting their threes. Mikal Bridges, who, faced a lot of scrutiny. If people don't remember, he had a 0 point playoff game this year. And, everyone brought up, oh, four first round picks, four first round picks. But they are 2 games away from winning an NBA championship. So, oh man, it's been such a ride for this Knicks team. And just imagine how easily things could have went different if, you know, Mike Brown doesn't believe in Landry Shamet to, be a key player for this team, or they never fire Tom Thibodeau, or they get upset by the Hawks in the first round, which very well could have happened before, they go on this historic run, which I believe they're now third all time. Okay, so this is 13 wins in a row in the playoffs. So I believe that's third all time. But once again, so many things could have went different. We could even go back to what if they never felt like they needed to trade for Cat? What if they, kept the core of Brunson and Randall? Or even if we go back further, what if these guys never drafted Jalen Brunson? I mean, never signed Jalen Brunson to that big contract, which many people thought was an overpay at the time. What if what if what if they got the first overall pick in 2019 and decided to build the core around Zion Williamson? So many things could have went differently for this team. I think to the 2016 draft when they drafted, or was it 2015? I think it's 2015 when they drafted Kristaps Porzingis, and it's like, hey, imagine telling Knicks fans at the time, the one to bring you a championship would be Karl-Anthony Towns, who they obviously wanted, but he was the consensus #1 pick. Just an incredible ride for the New York Knicks. An incredible story this team is. They're headed back home, so I mean, they've got to take one of the games at MSG, right? And even if they do, is this series still over? Who's to say Wemby and the Spurs can't make history? I don't know. I mean, this series has just been unbelievable from the start. Last thing I really want to get into was the officiating this game, because once again, it's such a worn out topic. I said it in my last video. I'll say it again. I hate blaming refs for stuff. But they really were in favor of San Antonio, which I felt like they kind of were in game one. But even more so today, like those. I think it was the second. Was it the second or third quarter? I can't remember. The game was last night. It's hard to remember, but I think it was the third quarter. Karl-Anthony Towns had 2 like ticky-tacky fouls that he got called for, which was like in this game where so much contact was allowed to slide. On commentary, they were legit saying like, hey, this game is getting a little too physical, because it really was. There was a point where De'Aaron Fox, I think, was it, who shoved a Knicks player right in front of the referee. I think it was Mikal who he shoved. It's just been like unbelievable, the reffing today, and it was Tony Brothers on the call, and I was just really like confused. There was this like block, this clean block that they had to review, because the original call was a foul, and I was like, that was just not a foul. That shouldn't have been something that they reviewed. It was. I just thought the officiating was crazy today, and the fact that the Knicks still pulled through, and won this game, which the pressure was very high. They put pressure on themselves with Josh Hart saying, hey, we didn't come here to win, 2 straight. A lot of criticism on Wemby right now. I feel like maybe a little bit too much criticism on Wemby. People saying, oh God, who was it? Someone on it's Jeff Teague's podcast. Someone on there, I forgot who, but was talking about, oh, Wemby had the worst turnover in NBA history. The late one where it was the pass to Castle off his back, and Brunson got the steal, which I just think is such an. I think people are really exaggerating. Like, yeah, Wemby could have helped the offense flow better today, but it's not like Wemby had a bad game, and Wemby's still 22 years old. Uh, I'm not trying to just give him excuses, but I mean it's just too early to start putting some of these conversations that are on Wemby right now on him. Um, yeah, this game was just so crazy. I feel like I have so much more to talk about. Um, but yeah, that's about it.